This documentary is about ethical consumerism and the levels of awareness around it. Ethical consumerism focuses on three areas: organic foods, free-range foods, and fair trade products. For opinions on the above, I interviewed friends on the topic and a lady called Poppy Picard who works for Tradecraft, a fair trade charity.
I like fair trade products. We buy fair trade at home. We like the idea that you're supporting the individuals who are actually doing the farming or picking the beans or making the products, not just the big companies.
Fair trade products, I think they're a really good idea. I think there should be more.
I think it's a great idea that should be done a lot more. It's not being done enough. Ideally, you'd like to do it, but it's more expensive for everyone.
I have mixed feelings, but overall, I buy them.
Okay, what are these mixed feelings?
Well, I do think it's important that the grower or the original producer gets paid a fair wage, but I have problems with corporations forcibly setting the amount. So, saying with the coffee industry, there's a global price for coffee beans, and the fair trade is paying some coffee growers a lot more. So this raises the price of coffee bean, and therefore I think you have problems with supply and demand, and you have too much coffee produced. So I do agree with market forces, so that's why my feelings are all jumbled up.
Okay.
We regularly do an order for tea and coffee and for wine, and we try to buy fair trade as much as possible.
I try and buy fair trade chocolate. We're not so good about bananas because the boys like bananas, and we should be. Actually, we often buy Cape bananas or whichever ones are cheaper in Tesco's. But I think we should try and buy more fair trade fruit. Yeah. Certainly, my mum, when she was a rep for fair trade, for Tradecraft, it was called, one of the earlier fair trade companies. And we used to buy all our stuff fair trade from her. We used to buy toilet rolls and coffee and tea and other fruits and things. But
yeah, we get mostly fair trade tea and coffee and bananas, which is usually all our local supermarket sells in terms of fair trade. So, yeah.
Regularly, bananas and coffee. I think those two most regular things I buy.
Chocolates,
biscuits, cookies. Very few arts and craft things, although I've been given quite a few of those fair trade things from people I know who runs a fair trade shop in their church.
I think it affects how we decide on what to buy. We definitely disagree with the idea of the big companies controlling the market.
Primary workers, people in the fields, get more money than they used to from non-fair trade schemes.
No, I don't. No. But I know that fair trade, it means it gives opportunity for people in third world countries to trade with more developed countries, and so it provides them with a source of income with the stuff that they produce.
Yeah, I think it's important that I think the people at the end of the line, the farmers, are given a good deal. So yeah, I think it's very important.
Yeah, you see it's documentaries and it seems very grim. Like they're in cramped conditions and they have no room to walk around in some of the chickens.
Yeah, a little bit, I think. What I've seen in television programs, I've seen things like battery farms for chickens and things like that.
Yes, I think we know that they're often battery farmed if they're not free range, so they don't have the freedom to roam. They don't, they're incredibly poorly looked after. So have a bit of an idea, I think.
when I was a student, I worked in a chicken factory in Norfolk for a number of years running, so I probably understand it a bit better than most people do, and yeah, it's fairly grim and horrible.
I researched it about 10 years ago and I was disgusted at the way that chickens and pigs were raised, and there's also problems with dairy farming, with the udders being allowed to get so full that they rub on the back legs of the cows and cause problems for their health. I basically found the problem with agribusiness where the animals are looked on as some sort of resource to be milked as much as possible.
We tend to buy free-range chicken. I don't think we don't normally buy free-range pork.
Okay.
I think we've just been made more aware of the plight of the chicken.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
I'm involved in fair trade as a volunteer for Tradecraft, which is a fair trade organisation. In fact, it's the oldest fair trade organisation in the UK. And I volunteer for them in two ways. I am a fair trader, which means I sell fair trade goods through church bazaars, Christmas fairs, any coffee mornings at my own house. And I'm also a speaker for Tradecraft. So I go out and speak. I've done school assemblies, I've spoke to church groups, I've spoken to community groups. In fact, anybody who asks me, I'll go and speak to them. I think I knew about fair trade right from the beginning in this country, because in the early 70s I was involved in something called the World Development Movement, and they were very interested in justice for the world's poor. And they started selling tea in the 70s, and by 1979 Tradecraft brought out its fair catalogue, and they first started selling fair trade tea and coffee. So I knew about it right at that point in time. So, if you like, I've grown up with the organisation. The most important part of fair trade for me is it's the beliefs on which Tradecraft base their whole organisation, and they believe that it is the way to help poor people get themselves out of poverty and become independent. So it's about enabling people to work their way out of poverty. Oh, absolutely. I've actually been to Kenya over 10 years ago and met some of the fair trade partners, and you actually start to see the difference it makes to people's lives. So what's a minute amount of money to us can make the difference, make huge differences in people's lives. You know, people who might have lived in a mud hut can save enough money to buy bricks and have a brick-built home. They might have enough money to pay for a well. They might have money to send their children to school. It enables people to do the basic things that we in the West take utterly for granted.